Hey everyone, welcome back to Fluent Vibes Podcast, your daily English practice podcast. I'm Amy.
And I'm Sam. Thanks for being here today. If you're new, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our daily episodes. We post a brand new conversation on books, life lessons, English tips, and many more every single day so that you may improve your English. Did you know that your brain literally processes standing in front of a large audience the exact same way it processes standing in front of a pack of hungry wolves?
No, absolutely. It's a complete physiological hijacking.
Right. You step up to a podium, you look out at the crowd, and your amygdala, that ancient primal part of your brain, it just slams the panic button.
It really does. It just dumps cortisol and adrenaline right into your bloodstream.
Yeah, your heart rate spikes, your breathing gets shallow, and your body is basically preparing to either run for its life or, fight to the death.
And the wild thing is, you aren't just giving a presentation. As far as your nervous system is concerned, you are actively trying to survive an apex predator.
It's so intense. And stepping out onto that stage, into the jaws of that perceived predator, is exactly what we're plunging into for today's deep dive.
Which is such a crucial topic. We walk into boardrooms or onto stages expecting this purely intellectual exercise.
Right, but it's just about the data.
Exactly. But in that moment, the intellect is completely overridden by a biological survival mechanism. You are entirely exposed and your body knows it.
It knows it all too well. So welcome, everyone. We're so glad you're here with us today.
Yes, welcome.
The mission for our deep dive today is to unpack this highly concentrated, just incredibly singular nugget of insight regarding one of humanity's most common, most paralyzing anxieties.
The fear of public speaking.
The absolute terror of it, yeah. And we're anchoring this exploration in a very specific piece of source material today.
Right, which really serves as a blueprint for navigating this exact anxiety.
It really does. So our source is an excerpt from a work titled The Eloquent Orator, Master Public Speaking in English.
And it's a fascinating text.
It is. Now, when we first pulled the source material for today, I was honestly struck by how brief it is.
Oh, it's incredibly short.
Yeah, we're literally looking at a single foundational premise.
Yeah.
But within this incredibly concise text is, it's basically the entire architectural blueprint of a speaker's journey.
I'd say the brevity is actually its strength,
So?
Well, this text isn't some bloated manual of vocal warm-ups or hand gestures.
Right, no diagrams on how to stand.
Exactly. It's outlining a structural transformation from a state of complete, overwhelming physiological paralysis to a state of absolute mastery.
It's a mechanical roadmap.
Precisely. A highly functional roadmap.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Okay.
Because if we transition from that grand title of the work to the specific actionable transformation the text promises,
we immediately hit a sequence of events.
Right, a sequence that challenges how most people even approach the podium.
Which is what makes it so revolutionary.
Yeah. So the text explicitly frames the core of this journey as, quote, how to remove fear and become confident.
And that specific sequence is the pivot point of the entire methodology.
Remove fear and become confident.
Right. Notice the verbs being used there. It does not suggest how to hide fear.
So that's true. It doesn't say mask it.
No, and it doesn't offer tactics on how to ignore fear or how to suppress fear until you get off the stage.
Which is what everyone tries to do.
Exactly. But the text establishes this strict, non-negotiable prerequisite. Fear must be actively removed in order to become confident.
Okay, I have to push back on this premise right out of the gate, though.
Sure, go for it.
Is the goal really to remove fear entirely?
Yeah.
I mean, if you talk to elite performers, musicians, athletes, even seasoned speakers.
They say they need the nerves.
Right. They often say you need a little bit of fear. You need that adrenaline to give you an edge, to keep you sharp and energetic.
That's a very common perspective, yeah.
So if you completely remove it, don't you risk walking out there completely flat? I mean, doesn't an eloquent orator need that stark?
Well, there is a critical distinction to be made there.
Okay, between what?
Between sympathetic nervous system arousal, which is that energetic spark you're talking about.
Right, the hype.
Exactly.
Right.
Between that and actual paralyzing fear.
Okay.
The text is targeting the latter. When real fear takes over, it creates a massive cognitive block.
It literally shuts you down.
It does. Your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for logic, language, and structuring complex thoughts.
All the things you need to speak.
All of them. It effectively shuts down because your brain is diverting all its resources to survival.
Wow. So you're basically locked out of your own brain.
Literally locked out of your vocabulary. You cannot be eloquent if your brain refuses to hand over the words.
That makes total sense.
So the text argues that confidence isn't some personality trait you magically summon.
It's not just a vibe.
No, it is the baseline state of your brain when it is not under siege.
When it's not fighting wolves.
Exactly.
I love that framing. I really do. But it still makes me question the mechanics of it.
How so?
Well, let's look at a different analogy here. For a long time, the standard advice has been, fake it till you make it.
Oh, constantly.
Right, which implies confidence is like an armor you put on over your fear.
A mask.
Yeah. But if we look at fear and speaking, like trying to run a really high-end video game on a computer with a maxed out CPU.
Oh, I like this.
Right, so the fear is this massive background program.
Mm-hmm.
And it's eating up like 90% of your brain's processing power, or RAM.
Yes, just hogging all the system resources.
Exactly. So you aren't failing at speaking because you lack the quote-unquote confidence program.
Right.
You're failing because your brain has absolutely no RAM left to process the actual vocabulary.
What's fascinating here is how accurately that CPU analogy maps onto modern cognitive load theory.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. If you connect this to the bigger picture of how you, as the listener, approach your own presentation anxiety, it completely reframes the struggle.
Because you blame yourself, usually.
Exactly. You probably sit there thinking, I am not a confident person. I just don't have that skill.
They're just bad at this.
Right.
Yeah.
But the text implies something far more forgiving. You aren't lacking the skill of confidence at all.
You're just overloaded.
You are simply running a massive system-draining fear program in the background.
Wow.
If you close that program, if you remove the fear that 90% of your processing power comes back online.
And the confidence is just there.
The confidence was always there. It was just waiting for the system resources to free up.
That is a massive paradigm shift.
It changes everything.
It means you don't have to aggressively try to add confidence to your repertoire while you're actively panicking.
Which is impossible anyway.
Right. You just have to shut down the panic app.
Exactly.
But practically speaking, and I'm thinking of the listener who is scheduled to give a huge update at their company next Tuesday.
Oh, the Tuesday morning meeting.
Yeah. And they physically shake when they speak. Removing fear. That's a heavy lift.
It's not trivial.
No. It implies an active, intentional process. So how does someone actually do that?
Well, remove is absolutely an active operational verb here. You have to actively downregulate your nervous system.
Downregulate.
Yes. Since we know the fear is a physiological response. The amygdala hijack.
The wolves.
Right, the wolves. The removal process has to be physiological too.
So you can't just think your way out of it.
You cannot logic your way out of a physiological hijack.
Yeah.
It's about signaling to your vagus nerve that you are not, in fact, being hunted.
Okay, so how do you send that signal?
Techniques like prolonged, slow exhales or tactical breathing.
Like box breathing.
Exactly. They literally slow the heart rate and halt the cortisol drip.
Wow.
By controlling the physiology, you manually close out that background fear program.
You force quit the app.
You force quit the panic app. And only then does the secondary verb in the text take effect.
Become.
Yes. Become confident. It's an emergence.
An emergence. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So the technique we're extracting from this blueprint, for anyone listening who's just terrified of the podium, it's fundamentally a sequence.
A strict sequence.
Subtraction, then expansion.
Wow.
You cannot force confidence into a psychological space that is already entirely occupied by a survival response.
It just won't fit.
You have to clear the system RAM first.
And it's crucial to understand that this psychological and physiological unburdening, it doesn't happen in a sterile, perfectly controlled laboratory.
Right. You aren't meditating on a mountain.
No. It happens under very specific, highly pressurized external conditions.
The real world.
Exactly. The text doesn't just say how to remove fear and become confident and leave it as this general life philosophy.
Like some vague self-help quote.
Right. It grounds this internal transformation in a brutal external reality.
Which brings us to the environmental factors, the modifiers of pressure.
This is where it gets really intense.
It does. The text explicitly outlines the exact conditions under which this transformation is supposed to take place.
Let's hear it.
It says, quote, while speaking in English in front of a lot of people.
We really need to break down these two compounding variables.
Because they're huge.
They are. Because they multiply the cognitive load we were just discussing exponentially.
Oh, for sure.
The first variable is linguistic, right? Speaking in English.
Yeah.
The text treats the language itself as a distinct, heavy parameter within the broader challenge.
And here's where it gets really interesting to me. Because why specify the language in the core formula?
Right. Why not just speaking?
Exactly. It proves that the cognitive load is a massive part of the hurdle.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you are navigating English as a second language, you are doing incredible double duty up there.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
You aren't just formulating ideas. You're actively translating, checking syntax, and structuring sentences in real time.
Under a spotlight.
Under a massive spotlight.
Yeah.
But even for native speakers, the pressure to adhere to the formal professional structures of, like, business English.
Oh, trying not to say or like.
Exactly. Trying to sound professional without stumbling or using filler words. That takes up a massive amount of that mental RAM.
It really does. The linguistic processing becomes a structural weight on the speaker's mind.
A structural weight.
Yeah. Think about the mechanics of semantic retrieval.
Semantic retrieval.
Finding the right word. When you're standing up there, you have to dip into your working memory to pull out the exact right vocabulary word.
Right.
But if your fear program is running, that working memory is compromised.
Because the RAM is full.
Exactly. So you lose a word.
And we've all been there. The dreaded blank out.
It's terrifying. And then the panic of losing the word creates more fear.
Oh, no.
Which takes up more RAM.
So it spirals.
It's a vicious compounding cycle, which makes it even harder to find the next word.
It's like quicksand.
It is. Managing syntax, vocabulary, pronunciation, and all the cultural nuances embedded in the English language, all while trying to maintain your physiological calm. It's an immense internal pressure cooker.
It really, really is. And as if that intense internal processing isn't enough, the text throws in the ultimate external multiplier.
Oh, yeah.
In front of a lot of people.
The crowd.
Right. It doesn't say in front of a small group or to a colleague. It emphasizes the sheer scale of the audience.
The volume matters.
It matters so much. When I read that part, it made me realize something fundamental about human interaction.
What's that?
Speaking to one person is a dialogue. Speaking to 5 people is a conversation. But speaking to 1,000 people,
It's a completely different sport.
the dynamic completely shifts. They blur together. The crowd becomes this single monolithic entity.
And if we connect this back to the bigger picture of evolutionary biology,
The wolves.
the wolves, that monolithic entity is exactly what triggers the prey response.
Wow.
A large audience ceases to be a collection of empathetic individuals.
Right. You don't see Bob from accounting anymore.
Exactly. In the speaker's mind, 500 pairs of silent eyes staring unblinkingly at you signals only one thing in nature.
You are about to be consumed.
You are prey. The duality of the challenge here is what makes public speaking so uniquely terrifying.
You have the internal and the external.
Yes. You have the intense internal processing,
Yeah.
the delicate cognitive machinery of speaking in English,
The ram hog.
right, clashing directly with the intense external social pressure.
The evolutionary threat of a lot of people.
It's the perfect storm of anxiety.
It's like trying to defuse a complex bomb while standing in a wind tunnel.
Oh, that's a brilliant analogy.
Right, because the internal focus requires this absolute pinpoint cognitive precision to formulate the English sentences.
You're clipping the red wire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if the external environment is chaotic, it's overwhelming,
Yeah.
and it's screaming at your nervous system to just run away.
That bomb defusal analogy captures the stakes perfectly. The text is suggesting that true confidence,
The baseline state.
yes, the state that emerges after fear, is systematically shut down. That confidence must be robust enough to withstand both of these extreme forces simultaneously.
It has to survive the bomb and the wind tunnel.
Exactly. It has to survive the internal friction of the language and the external evolutionary pressure of the crowd's judgment.
That's a tall order.
It is. If the confidence is just a brittle mass.
Like the fake it till you make it advice.
All right. If it's just that variety rather than a true physiological reset, the dual pressures of English syntax and a massive audience will shatter it instantly.
It'll just crumble under the weight.
Or immediately.
So let's look at the blueprint again through this highly practical lens.
Okay, walk me through it.
You're terrified. You have a massive presentation.
Right.
You follow the sequence. You do the hard, active physiological work of removing the fear.
You do the breathing.
Right. You do the tactical breathing. You downregulate your nervous system. You free up your mental RAM.
You force quit the panic app.
Yes. You allow the confidence to emerge as your natural state. Then you step onto that stage.
The arena.
You successfully navigate the complex internal machinery of speaking in English, and you deliver your ideas directly into the immense perceived threat of a lot of people.
You diffuse the bomb.
Right. So if you actually manage to survive that specific gauntlet,
Yeah.
what is the end result?
And that question naturally brings us back to the very title of the source material.
The ultimate destination.
Yes.
The deep dive into the title itself. The eloquent orator. Master public speaking.
The contrast here is incredibly sharp, isn't it?
It really is.
I mean, we just spent a lot of time analyzing the raw, gritty, biological mechanics of the process.
Sweating, breathing, RAM management.
Right, the heavy lifting of shutting down the amygdala, the cognitive strain of semantic retrieval in English, the survival of the monolithic crowd.
It sounds like a battle.
It is a battle, but the title elevates the entire endeavor.
It does.
It uses highly aspirational language. You don't just become a, competent speaker or a survivor of presentations.
A not panicking presenter.
Right. The text promises that by mastering this specific sequence of fear removal, you become an eloquent orator.
Eloquent orator. I love that phrasing. It sounds almost regal.
It implies a true artistry.
Yeah, it's not just about transferring data from your brain to theirs. It's about doing it with a rhythm, a pacing, and a presence that just commands the room.
It's poetry in motion.
Exactly. And then there is the word master. The title says master public speaking.
Yes.
It uses master as an imperative verb, like a direct command.
And using master as an active command fundamentally shifts the paradigm of public speaking.
How so?
It suggests that this is entirely a conquerable domain.
Ah, I see.
Think about the grand myth of public speaking.
That some people just have it.
Exactly. The myth is that it is an innate genetic gift bestowed upon a lucky few at birth.
Like charisma is just in your DNA.
Right. That some people are just natural-born orators and the rest of us are doomed to sweat and shake.
I think so many people believe that.
But this text completely rejects that. It frames speaking as a discipline.
A skill you can learn.
It is an arena that you can enter, study, mechanically manipulate, and eventually command.
That is so empowering.
It really is. You can achieve mastery over your own physiology, mastery over the cognitive load of the English language, and mastery over the evolutionary triggers of the massive crowd.
So what does this all mean? For you, the listener.
Right, the practical application.
Yeah, whether you're prepping for a pitch to investors or you're defending a thesis or honestly just having to give a toast at a wedding.
All terrifying in their own way.
They really are. But this source material actually paints an incredibly hopeful, democratized picture.
Democratized, yes, I like that word.
Because it completely strips away the mystique of the natural-born speaker.
Completely.
It tells you that eloquence, that high, elevated state of being an orator, is simply the end product of a mechanical, sequential process.
Step one, step two.
Exactly. You regulate your nervous system to remove the fear. You let your natural cognitive abilities fill the void.
The confidence emerges.
Right. You manage the mechanics of the language.
Yeah.
You reframe the crowd from predator to audience.
And suddenly you're eloquent.
Eloquence isn't magic. It's the result of systematically freeing up your brain's processing power.
But, this raises an important question, though, regarding the true nature of that mastery.
What kind of question?
Well, is the eloquent orator someone who never, ever feels fear anymore?
Well, that's a good point.
Right. Does the biological panic response completely vanish forever once you achieve mastery?
Do the wolves go away?
Exactly. Or is the master simply someone who has perfected the removal process the text describes? Do they just get so incredibly efficient at downregulating their nervous system that the audience only ever sees the resulting confidence?
Oh, that is a phenomenal distinction.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Is mastery the total absence of fear, or is it the absolute ruthless efficiency of shutting the fear program down the microsecond it tries to open?
What do you think?
I heavily lean toward the latter. I really do.
Me too.
I think the evolutionary trigger is just hardwired into our biology. The fear is always waiting in the wings, ready to spike your heart rate.
It's a survival mechanism. You can't just delete it.
Right. But the eloquent orator knows exactly how to catch it, breathe through it, and close the application before stepping into the light.
The underlying science supports that conclusion entirely.
Got it.
Oh, yeah. The text explicitly focuses on how to remove fear, implying it is a recurring action.
A tool you use.
A tool you must actively use every single time you face the crowd. The mastery isn't in eradicating your human biology.
Because you can't.
No. The mastery is in the speed, grace, and invisibility of the removal.
Which perfectly encapsulates the tightly packed, highly mechanical journey we've extracted from this incredibly concise source material today.
It's amazing how much was packed into that one sentence.
Truly. We started with the sheer physiological terror of the perceived predator, and we unpacked the specific blueprint for disarming it.
We really broke it down.
We looked at the absolute necessity of identifying and actively shutting down fear, freeing up the mental RAM to allow true baseline confidence to emerge.
And then we examined the specific compounding pressures of navigating the heavy cognitive load of the English language.
The internal wind tunnel.
Right. While simultaneously bearing the psychological weight of a massive crowd, we saw how confidence must be robust enough to survive both internal and external gauntlets.
And we ultimately arrived at the destination, the transformation into the eloquent orator.
The master.
Proving that mastery in public speaking is a conquerable, mechanical process, not a magical gift.
It's accessible to anyone willing to do the work.
Exactly. So the next time you are prepping for a daunting presentation and you feel that familiar spike of adrenaline.
The wolves are circling.
Yeah. Or you find yourself staring at that monolithic sea of eyes. Remember the framework from today's text.
Force click the panic app.
Right. You aren't lacking confidence. You just need to close the background apps.
Just breathe.
Eloquence is a process. And confidence. Well, confidence is just the baseline reality that remains when fear finally leaves the room.
That's a powerful takeaway. But as you think about applying that process to your next big presentation, consider this final thought.
Oh, leaving them with something to chew on. I like it.
Always. Our source text today focuses explicitly on mastering fear in front of, quote, a lot of people.
The sea of eyes.
Right, the monolithic predator. But once you achieve that, once you become the eloquent orator who can downregulate your nervous system and command a crowd of thousands with absolute confidence,
Yeah.
does that mastery automatically translate?
Translate to what?
Or is there a completely different, infinitely more complex psychological fear waiting in the wings when you step off the massive stage and you have to speak intimately, vulnerably, and truthfully to an audience of just one?
Wow. The mechanics of the brain are entirely different when the crowd fades away and there's only one person looking back at you.
If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share with a friend who's learning English. We'll see you tomorrow with another easy conversation. Bye, everyone.